Hi, this is Dr. Raj Singh. I practice in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today we're going to discuss the topic of probiotics. Probiotics are this group of bacteria and yeast that are considered good for us, right? Now most people think of probiotics and just bacteria, but actually there are a good blend of probiotic formulation will actually have healthy bacteria and also some yeast in there because we need both in our colon for a healthy environment. Now, where do we get probiotics from? Mostly from food and then of course from pharmaceuticals. We generally have a decrease in the level of good bacteria, especially after chronic stress, a acute infection, or when we've taken a long-term antibiotics because they will disrupt the natural flora in our colon. So that's when the probiotics come in handy. Now, when we look at food, we always look at yogurt because it's heavily advertised that our yogurt has more bacteria versus our competing brand. 1 billion colony forming units versus 2 billion colony forming units. If you think about it, our stomach is a natural barrier against infection. That's why we don't get sick when we eat some food that's contaminated with bacteria, because most of the bacteria will not survive the journey through our stomach because of all the acidic environment. So same applies to yogurt. So most of the bacteria in the yogurt will actually already be dead by the time they pass through our stomach. So you're not going to get a big dose of bacteria that are actually going to survive the journey. 2, a lot of yogurts are actually pasteurized, so they may not have any healthy bacteria or any live bacteria left there whatsoever. 3, you might develop lactose intolerance, especially if you're that sensitive individual. So just taking tons and tons of yogurt just for that reason is not gonna help. Now, what are some of the benefits of probiotics? Well, they do help with stomach issues, especially some infections like C. diff, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease. So there is very strong data to support the use of probiotics. Actually, I use them in those group of patients all the time. There are some studies that show that they actually can help with seasonal allergies, but it's not very good data. Now, there is some good data supporting their use if you have allergy conditions of the skin, like dermatitis or eczema or psoriasis. Probiotic use has been shown some benefit in some studies. So of course, this is my opinion, so discuss with your physician if you have more questions on that topic. Now, let's look at the yeast infection. So a patient of mine recently was diagnosed with yeast infection of her vagina, and she asked me, she said, like, I read it on a health blog that I can actually put yogurt in my vagina to help with the yeast infection. Of course, I advise her not to do that for a couple of reasons. One, the bacteria in the vagina, the lactobacillus, is not the same lactobacillus that's in our dairy or in our yogurt. So they're two different strains. So putting the yogurt lactobacillus in the vagina is not going to make any difference because that bacteria is not going to survive there because that's not its natural environment. 2, yogurt has a lot of sugar. And what does yeast love? Is sugar. That's why we feed sugar to yeast to ferment our alcohol and other things. So putting yeast in there is probably going to cause a flare-up of infection. Number 3, most people or most women, when they do think they have a yeast infection of the vagina, actually don't. Most of the time it is simply a bacterial overgrowth of normally the bacteria that are present there. That's called bacterial vaginosis. And putting a yogurt in there with lactobacilli is not really going to help. So my advice, yogurt does not belong in your vagina. Don't put it there. That's all we had to say for the topic today. I hope you like the content. Please do subscribe, and anything you don't like or disagree, please put that in the comments below. That'll help me improve my talks in the upcoming future. I'll see you back in a couple of days. Thank you.